Good morning. You must have heard the news. Well, if you haven't heard, here it is. And it's not one, it's a compendium. Chancellor Merkel has told people to store food and water because of the possibility of riots. The riots caused by the friction between the refugees and the Germans who have been raped, looted, robbed. In France, 15 cities have banned Burkini. Now, Burkini is a hybrid version of bikini and hijab, burqa style, covers the whole body, and 15 cities have banned it. And what happens in France has its repercussions in Quebec. So the Quebec politicians, some of them have there said and proposed that Burkini should be banned here in Quebec as well because A, it differentiates and is a symbol of religious. Justin Trudeau immediately responded that such a proposal cannot be accepted, we cannot ban Burkini. As a matter of fact, we should live with it. That's quite sensible, we should live with it. But should we be forced? As has happened in Australia, where the one school has ordered women, the girls, not to wear skirts unless they go below the knee. Now imagine the stupidity. Skirts are meant to give you freedom and they are always above the knee. I remember in my school days, it used to be that the skirt should not be higher than 2 inches above the knee. So just 2 inches above the knee and then you can wear it. If it was a hot pant, no, you couldn't wear it. But here the principle says, now, some Muslims are offended. Some Muslims, not all, majority of them are very liberal and sensible enough. When they are living in a different country, they know the civilization and the culture of that part of the world. So these intolerant, bigoted Muslims did not want skirts which show the knee because it tempts them. So should the temptation be removed or should the tempter be chased and persuaded to behave in a normal human being fashion? Anyway, leave that aside. So across the globe we have seen that the dress has been changing the atmosphere from placid, calm to a turbulent one. And now comes the worst news from RCMP. RCMP has decided to change its uniform. Whenever I look at RCMP officers, I am simply impressed by their iconic scarlet jackets, by their swords, by their hats, by the complete demeanor. It's really iconic. And Canada should be proud of its RCMP dress. But politically correctness rules the country today. And they have decided to change the uniform. Only one part, that hijab would be permitted. Now imagine wearing a hijab along with the iconic red jacket. Why? The plea taken again is to show the diversity. Now every institution has a certain heritage, certain traditions. And changing the traditions simply to accommodate the intolerant is not done. After all, niqab, hijab, chadar, burqa, whatever name you give it, is not ordained by Quran. That has been said time out of number. If it was so, Kamal Turk would not have banned burqa and hijab in Turkey when he came to power. he made it mandatory to wear the Western dress. And anybody wearing those shalwar, kameez and this thing was sent to jail. Why is it that in Afghanistan, when I visited there in the time of King Zahir Shah, I found that the girls roaming as if they were on Riviera in France. And here comes RCMP changing its iconic uniform to satisfy the urges of certain fundamentalists. Again, the Muslims don't want it. It's a tiny rabbit sect which wants it. Now the question arises, how far is justified? On the one side we have Merkel and about 8 cities in Germany banning Burkini, asking people to store food and water in the event of riots. 15 cities in France clearly stating no, Burkini would not be tolerated. Quebec proposing to ban Burkini, say some politicians. RCMP changing its iconic dress to satisfy the fundamentalist section of a community. And Australia asking the girls not to wear skirts which tempt men. Where are we going? Are we going to a more liberal society? Are we reverting back to the cave age? Dress is a matter of personal convenience. Until and unless it violates the public decorum, there should be no ban. I fully endorse it. If a woman wants to wear a hijab, let her wear it. Whether it's a symbol of servility, whether it's a symbol of bondage, but if she wants to wear it, let her wear it. But she cannot wear it in a public place, in a public service. Suppose you have working as a cashier or a waitress, you can wear it. And that's what the objection is, that it is being used to hide. And a camouflage cannot be permitted. You are in your home, you are going, okay, wear it. But then if the officer wants you to see your face, you should have no hesitation. Your liberty ends where my security begins. Now, all these questions are about security. When Merkel says store food and water, she wants people to be secure. When France bans covering, body covering, it bans because of 2 reasons. A, no religious symbol should be seen, which is quite nice by itself. In a secular country, religious symbols should be observed, but should not be visible. I was having a debate with Navdeep Bains some time back, and he said, well, I wear a kirpan, but nobody sees it. Okay, fine. If you are wearing it in a way that is not harmful and is not visible, it doesn't act as a bullying weapon, I can accept it. But to wear it outside, where people see that you are armed or are afraid, no, it's not permissible. Should not be permissible. Now, coming to the change of the uniform, that's the worst decision that could ever be taken by RCMP under the tutelage, under the guidance of the federal government, which is more loyal than the king. In case such a change had not been proposed, nobody would have even thought of it. And then saying, okay, we want to attract people from the diverse communities so that they come. Now tomorrow, people from Nigeria or Somalia would come and say, well, we want to wear our dress with feathers and everything. Would RCMP permit it? And then, in Sikh religion, there is a sect called Nihangs, who wear very tall blue turbans, and those turbans are covered with weaponry like steel ornaments. So they want to join RCMP. They say, okay, we'll wear the red tunic, but our head covering shall be that one. Would you permit it? There has to be some sense even in nonsense. There has to be some validity. And under what plea would you ban it? The Jews will say, we want to wear our kippah. Would you permit it? Haryanvis would come and say, we want to wear turban like a Haryanvi. Would you permit it? Nagas would come and want their bells and trinkets on the head. Would you permit it? And then women from Kerala would come, Malabar, and they'll want their huge masses of flowers in their hair. So how ridiculous would it look? You are having a red tunic, you are having a sword, you are having a lance, you are sitting on a horse, and you are covered with the flowers. And you will be protecting the flowers, not the people. The same is about hijab. I've gone to the ridiculous aspect simply to stress the ludicrous aspect of this decision and also the decision of some people in banning Burkini. I'm not against Burkini. If some ladies feel that by wearing Burkini while going swimming, they are protecting their modesty, it's fine as long as the face is visible. And I saw in Burkini the face is visible. But to translate that freedom into changing the dress code which has been there for the last 150 years is sheer, well, I will go into idiocy, but I'll say, well, it's not acceptable. You see, in this world, in this era, in this age, what we say the age of enlightenment, when we behave like people living in the cave, the Stone Age, then it's a sad commentary on our so-called progress, on our so-called enlightenment and education. The whole concept was born because burqa has been used by terrorists to hide. Even, that Indian yogi teacher, what they call it, Ram something. Well, Ramdev, yes. Now, Ramdev was agitating and he escaped by wearing a women's dress. I would say, are you a yogic teacher or are you a criminal? And he was behaving like a criminal at that time. He wore a lady's dress and escaped the police. And we have seen the terrorists wearing burqa and hijab to cover their bodies so that they cannot be identified. And this thing is now degenerating, percolating down. Toronto police changed its dress code earlier and permitted hijab. People kept quiet because the dress of the police force in Ontario and especially in Toronto is not something iconic. You see, it doesn't stand out. It just is dress of a uniform of a police officer. Okay, make some alteration. It's not desirable, but okay, in the long run, okay, you can accept it. But to change the image of constabulary that stands for the Canadian values, for the Canadian heritage, for the Canadian tradition, for the Canadian look, is definitely not in line. It definitely shows that our leadership is forcing down some change down the throats of the people. And people don't like it. As a matter of fact, we have to be very clear. The dress code of any organization, the dress code of any school should not be dictated or must not be dictated by the political, religious, or cultural hang-ups. Those mindsets must not be permitted to rule the roost. As a matter of fact, what I find is that in the stupid name of multiculturalism, we are being divisive. In the name of being secular, we are creating ghettos. And we are being most unsecular. Being secular does not mean giving respect to all religions. It means distancing yourself from all religions. The superstitions. The state as a whole has no role to play in that. It has to preserve the law and order and to ensure the safety of the people. If the safety of the people says ban this, ban it. Burqa definitely should be banned. Hijab, permitted in the local areas, but not when you are working somewhere. This sort of identification and stratification is very harmful in the long run. It is extremely deleterious, and the baneful effects are observed over the time when Canada would not remain what it is. It would degenerate into a divided society, a divided polity, at internecine war with each other, and the goodness of the Canadian traditions would be stories told by the grandmoms, the grandchildren. Do we want that to happen? I'm sure you would not like that to happen. But do our politicians want that to happen? Possibly they don't want it to happen. They are letting it happen. They are catalysts for the change, and change should be for the better. Here they are not catalysts for the change, they are catalysts for sending the country into the backwaters. Friends, this is high time that we start thinking more rationally. While we do not want to take away the rights of the people to dress the way they want, we also want to preserve our institutions. We also want to preserve, protect, and safeguard our traditions. I will rue the day that RCMP is dressed in a motley manner, belying all identity. Then RCMP would just be a police force and not Royal Canadian Police, mounted police. This doesn't gel, doesn't appeal. And the order of the Australian government or the school again doesn't appeal. This shows shallow thinking, myopic views, and incapacity to think for tomorrow. It only shows your incapability of perceiving things as they are and refusing to realize the consequences for the sake of perpetuating your rule. I hope the leaders that be would listen. Is it hoping too much? I leave it to you. Thank you.